welcome to Out Continues, episode 238. This is a weekly podcast posted up every Monday in which we talk about video games and related topics. And it goes up every Monday on outofcontinues.com as an MP3, and most of the time it goes up on youtube.com/outofcontinues as a video. Where you can usually see my face, but this week it's just going to be audio on YouTube. I am your host, Stafa, for those of you new to the show, and this week I have guest hosting with me this week is Kevin.
Hello.
How you doing, Kevin?
Good, how are you?
All right, just we're getting through this technical difficulties, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, internet. So anyways,
Yeah.
Let's talk about this week's episode. We're gonna have our main topic, which will be on game developer / consumer communication, and after that we have some quick announcements, and then we're gonna wrap up the show with a few news topics. Not too many, but it's the week before E3, so you can't expect too many news topics. So well, I guess that wasn't true for like the last couple years, but either way, let's get going. And before we get into our main topic, I just want to mention this disclaimer real quick that all opinions expressed on this show are of our own and not of our employers, whether past, present, or future. So, #HireStafa. What? So, anyways, let's talk about our main topic, which is the communication between the game developers and the public, the consumers, everyone else who is not a game developer. The reason why I wanted to bring up this topic was because last week we talked about Hello Games and their No Man's Sky, and how a lot of people are like really hyped about this game because expectations are super high due to them basically not knowing what exactly this game is. Hello Games has been pretty quiet as to what is going on with this game.
Yeah. I feel like No Man's Sky was announced extremely early in its development phase, and then like on top of that, they've been really quiet about it and haven't said anything, and so yeah, people's expectations are kind of being inflated based on what they want the game to be rather than what they know the game will be. And I think part of the issue is that Hello Games themselves probably didn't know what the game is going to be, but they didn't have a long-term goal for it. I think I feel like they worked on this really cool procedural generation for the environment, and made this really robust engine that can make environments on the fly, and then they wanted to use that in a game somehow, and they didn't really plan the game out as well as they should have. So I mean, like when they announced the game, they only showed a few videos since then. I mean, all we've seen is the player on a planet. Then they can build. They have a ship that they can use to go to other planets. And all we know is that the goal of the game is to get to the center of the galaxy or the universe, and the game gets progressively more difficult as you get closer to the center. And it's been interesting to see. I mean, it's a cool idea and it looks good, but they just didn't seem to have any gameplay mechanics set, and I have a bad feeling that No Man's Sky is going to suffer from being a game with a huge scale but not really much depth. It's kind of the saying is as wide as an ocean but only an inch deep, and I feel like this is something that No Man's Sky is going to suffer. And I think if they had been a little bit more open about the game, people would have a better expectation of what the game should be or what it will be. But like I said earlier, I think that Hello Games themselves probably didn't even know what the game was going to be when they announced it. They got excited about developing this procedural engine, and they wanted to show it off to the world. And I feel like they did that too early without fully fleshing out the game, because everything that they've shown so far, it really does show a lack of depth. And this is going to go a little bit off topic, but I mean, like all of the gameplay that we've seen, like everything that they've mentioned is you go to a planet, you'll be able to mine resources, and there's wildlife on the planets. And if you attack the wildlife, then you'll be attacked by drones, and like, your disposition on that planet will go down, and then you have to either leave the planet or fend yourself. And it seems like that's going to be the behavior for every planet in the entire universe. And that just seems weird that they would apply this single rule to every planet, because I mean, if you think about it in real life, even within the planets themselves, there's a lot of variety of, you know, how things react to your actions. Obviously they're not going to build whole civilizations and different cultures on each planet, but it almost feels like they've already set this one baseline rule for all the planets. If you attack anything, you get attacked by drones. And it almost feels like some ancient civilization has already inhabited every single planet in the entire universe and has put these sentry drones as a security measure on all the planets in the entire universe. And it just seems shallow to do that.
At that point, you're not really discovering the planets.
Exactly. I mean, it seems like a really shallow gameplay, and that did go a little off topic, but like the communication, like they've not said anything to the to anyone, and they're keeping it really quiet, and so everyone's expectations are inflating based on their wish list for the game.
Plus, they're a very small studio. They're like 13 people or so.
Yeah, and that's another issue. Is like it seems like they're relying heavily on the fact that the environments will be different to keep people interested. But I mean, you can do a lot with procedural generation, but you can only do so much. You can't procedurally generate game mechanics. You have to actually design those by hand. And it seems like they've only done one set of mechanics and then applied it to the entire game. All the planets kind of follow the same rules. All the planets follow similar gameplay, and unless they do some unique things, like different planets will have different gravity, so you would have some planets where you can't jump very high, some planets where you can jump for really long distances, and then they've shown different planets will have different oxygen levels. Some planets will have different temperatures, so you have to survive in those kind of situations. But again, there's so much you can do with that, and it will become repetitive and redundant very quickly, in my opinion.
And I want to make it clear that I'm not saying that this game is going to be bad, or don't look forward to this game. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that right now it is very unclear as to what exactly this game is, and don't set expectations too high. This game might end up being amazing. It just might be the best thing ever. But right now is if there's just not enough backing it to warrant the high expectations.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to mention, because all the things that I just said about it seems like the mechanics are so shallow. That's all based on just the 3 or 4 videos that they've released so far since they announced the game. And that's all we have to go off of. And if they're not even showing, this section of space will act differently than this section of space, or different planets will have, some planets might not have drones, and you might be able to hunt the wildlife all that you want, or there might not be any wildlife on some planets, or some planets you might not even have a place to land because it's all like one gigantic ocean. So they haven't shown anything or talked about anything. So everything that I said about it, how shallow it could be, is just based on the 3 or 4 videos that they released.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about another instance where there was like not only a lack of communication but also miscommunication. Um, your game here, Aliens Colonial Marines, and so not only was there a lack of communication because they did not tell us the whole story as to like who's developing the game, because as far as everyone knew it was Gearbox, but Gearbox only worked on like the multiplayer portion or something like that,
Hmm.
and like the rest was the single player was being developed by Timegate, uh, who is like an indie developer pretty much, and
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
I'm pretty sure that's what they said after the game came out.
Hmm.
So like there was a lack of communication on that part, but there's also miscommunication with like showing off gameplay or gameplay video that was not a proper representation or not an accurate representation of the final project. You
Yeah.
know, so there was a lot of bad communication with that game as far as hey, this is what's going on with development, one, and two, just showing off something that was not an accurate representation.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I didn't realize she keep many tabs on that Aliens game. But that is interesting to know. Like, I didn't even know that the actual developers were not known, because I actually did think it was Gearbox the whole time, but
Oh,
I didn't know
let me
that they
try to
just
find
did
this real
the.
quick. Time gate. I'm pretty sure. Um, so I'm just pulling up the first article that went up when I typed Aliens Colonial Marines Timegate. Primary development outsourced to Section 8 developer Timegate Studios.
Hmm.
So so like Timegate did most of the work, which was the campaign portion of the game, and Gearbox did the multiplayer portion of the game, which that was the wrong. They did the wrong portions. Like Gearbox is better at doing campaign, and Timegate has more experience working on multiplayer. With like Section 8 and Minimum. So they should have done the multiplayer, which was the portion that no one wanted or no one cared, and Gearbox should have worked on the campaign.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, so um, they just weren't. They should have been upfront, because that way at least um, you know people can gauge their expectations better, because one, they know that it's not Gearbox that's working on the portion that they care about, and two, their expectations were definitely gauged incorrectly due to that footage that they showed with like the better looking graphics.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so but I mean, like game developers or at least the publishers, that it's their job to try to create a hype machine. They're trying to sell the game, and
Yeah.
of course they're gonna like leave out details and stuff to that will potentially lessen sales, but at the same time, like it's just very disingenuous and deceiving to leave out important details, and at the end of the day, like you're gonna like get higher sales short term, but in the long term you're gonna burn the consumer and they're not gonna trust you with your next game.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there are some developers that are actually doing a lot in keeping the players in the loop. and actually, like with Hello Games, they're doing a space exploration sandbox game, and another one that actually falls under that genre is Star Citizen and even Elite Dangerous. Both of those games have really put a huge focus on keeping the development as open and transparent as they possibly can. Anyone who's actually invested the time or even money into those games, they are part of the development essentially. Like every week, Star Citizen sends out a newsletter that gives updated information about every like specific module. So like if people aren't familiar with how Star Citizen is being developed, it's being developed in separate modules essentially. There's the Squadron 42 module, which is the single player story driven campaign, but people are not really being told about the story about that, because that's a story driven game, and if you know what the story is, then there's no point in playing the game. So that one is being a little bit more. That one's being kept a little bit more under wraps, just so that the story isn't spoiled. To keep it true to like how a story based game should be played. But the other spectrum of that is the open world, just like the sandbox mode, which they're pretty much everyone who wants to be involved in the development is able to know about it. So they send out a newsletter every week, and it will go through. This is the ship that we're designing this week, and like it'll actually show video of people working on designing the ship. They'll have the concept artists coming up with the designs. They'll have the 3D artists coming up with the making the model, and then you'll have the animators and the visual effects artists making the animations for the ship and like all the different things, making it all work, and then implementing it into the game and then testing it. So we actually see all of this happening, and we even know about things that are like just feature updates, like so like when Star Citizen first came out, they released the Arena Commander, or sorry, not the Arena Commander. It was the station module. So you could, whatever, if you bought into the game, they had different tiers that you could purchase, and based on which one you bought, you would have a different hangar for your ships. Not the station, it was the hangar. So like if you bought the lowest tier, you'd have a hangar for just one or two ships. And then the ship that you bought was in there, and you could actually walk around your ship. You could walk through the hangar. You could see your sleeping quarters. You could see where all the things are being kept. And then they just added more functionality to that over time. Eventually, then they added the Arena Commander module, which allowed you to actually fly your ship around like a small section of space. And they had you could do like a wave-based defensive game where you would have enemy ships coming in waves, and you could defend yourself against those. And then they started adding PvP, so you could do multiplayer with other people who had bought ships for the game with your ships, and you're just doing a little dogfighting thing. And then they continuously expanded that over the past few months and the past couple of years that it's been in development. So players are not only just reading about the game, they're actually being a part of it, and they're providing input. Whenever they make a new feature, they'll actually get the players' input and suggestions, and they'll fix things based on what the players want and what they think is better. And then so they do videos every week showing exactly what they're working on. It's almost like you are just sitting at their studio as they're working on the game every week, and they're not being
it's just like being in the studio.
Yeah, I mean it's like sitting in the studio but through a webcam. But I mean it's incredible how open they've been, and I think something like that is necessary for all of these space games that are coming out now, because a lot of these are huge in scale. I mean, if you look at Elite Dangerous, that is the entire Milky Way galaxy in 1-to-1 scale. It's a huge game in terms of its playable area. And then there's Star Citizen's also supposed to be several star systems, like a whole, I don't know how big it is in comparison to like Elite Dangerous, but it is huge. It's not going to be small at all. It's going to be a lot of content, and there's going to be a lot of just physical space to explore. And for games that are on that kind of scale, I think it is almost beneficial. It's more beneficial to have the players' input because, for one, you're not designing a story that's linear. I mean, Star Citizen has that. It's the Squadron 42 campaign, but that they're keeping that section quiet so that the story doesn't get spoiled. But when you have a sandbox game, I think it's really important to have player input throughout the game development process. I mean, if you like look at Uncharted 4, obviously you're not going to have the players be a part of know exactly what's happening, because then there's no point in playing that game. It's a very linear, story-driven game. But Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, and I think No Man's Sky should have been doing that as well if they wanted to be successful. I mean, they're a smaller team, so they probably have a different end goal, but if they definitely could have learned a few things from what Star Citizen and what Elite Dangerous have done, because both of those games are showing huge success, and it's primarily because of how they're including all of the players in the development process. They're being extremely open about it. We know things that are happening in the game before they even get released. So, if they have ideas for a new feature, they'll actually discuss it in forums. They'll release videos about it. They'll write articles about it on their website and get people's suggestions and input. So it's helped them a lot in making sure that the players are getting what they want without any kind of surprises. And so because of that, there are no inflated expectations. We know exactly what we're going to get, and we're still enjoying it because it is a sandbox game. And even though we know, like, we're learning about the mechanics, but that doesn't affect our experiences of the game.
Yeah. Like I don't kickstart games anymore, but I have kickstarted quite a few games. I did notice that the amount of communication from the different developers varied quite a bit. Some developers would give constant updates, like monthly updates on what's going on, while others, like, you heard nothing from them, and it's like, when's this game going to come out?
Yeah, I've I've experienced both of those as well. I also used to.
I think at a certain point, like the monthly updates, I think that's a bit much at a certain point, because like, I'm getting these email updates from Kickstarter, that they're sending out, and it's like at a certain point I just started clicking delete, not even looking at it, not even reading. It's like, come on now, just give me the game.
Yeah, well,
but like at
really
least
depends.
Yeah, at the very least I know that they're working on the game, but with the ones that aren't even like giving any updates, it's like, are you even still alive? Are you making this game?
Yeah. Now, I also I think it depends really on what kind of game it is. Like I was just saying with Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, and potentially with No Man's Sky, those are games that are big enough that they have enough content to supply on a weekly basis. Like, I get the weekly newsletter for Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, and I read them because there's so much that they talk about. And like they don't always give updates on the development. Sometimes they'll include things like, here's the gallery from the community that was from this week. Like, just show pictures of different people's experiences of the game. Or one thing with like Elite Dangerous is that there's actually a in-game news system called Galnet. So it'll talk about, like, they'll report things on the fluctuation of the economy, because that's a very economy-driven game. So based on certain systems and the prices of certain things, you might, if you're a trader, you might need to know exactly which systems you should be trading in. So they'll actually give Galnet news updates in the newsletter. So if you need that information, you can have it there. But yeah, and then there's other games where there's smaller updates, but they still send the like a monthly update, just like, hey, we're still working on the game. Okay, bye. So
yeah,
those aren't necessary, but it's good to know, like you said, that they're still working on it. And then there are games
Now,
that I've backed also where they've just said nothing. Like there was one game that I backed called Cube World. It's supposed to be like a essentially it's Minecraft and Legend of Zelda combined together. So there's a story progression, and it's you've got these huge dungeons that are all puzzle based that you have to go through, and there's like this huge world with lots of quests and things to do. But it looks kind of like Minecraft, but a little bit more stylized. But it's all cube based, and like the developer on that really, like when I bought into it first, there was maybe one update every 3 or 4 months. For like it was like one update since I bought it, and for the past 2 years there's been nothing. It's been quiet, so no idea what's happening with that.
yeah, they took your money and left.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, we've been talking a lot about developers that don't say much, and then developers that do say much, and that helps the communication. Now let's talk about developers that say a lot and it does not help. I think
I wonder who you're talking about.
Prime example would be a good friend of the show, Mr. Pete Molyneux. So this famous game developer who worked on the Fable series, he says a bit too much about the games, and a lot of it isn't really the actual production of the games. It's just a lot of ambition that he wants in the games, and that ends up biting him really hard. I mean, now I'm not saying that the end product of his games are usually bad. I mean, he has made good games, but he's also made bad games as well, like Goddess, which wasn't even he didn't even finish. Let's just be blunt. It wasn't even completed. And he also did that one Mysterious Cube game, whatever it was called. The one where you just tap on the cubes, and then the one person who won became the god of Goddess. You know what I'm talking about?
No. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one.
It was an iOS game, and there was like a big cube, and it was made up of a bunch of cubes, and all you did was tap the cubes to make them disappear, and like it was a multiplayer game. Like everyone was doing on the same cube, and whoever got to the center was the winner, and that person who got to the center, they basically got a video of Peter Molyneux talking to them, saying that you're now going to be the god of my next game, Goddess.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm looking into that now. I have not heard of that one.
Yeah, it's like that was like not even a game; it was just an experiment. But either way, so like what I'm basically going with here is Mr. Molyneux. He says a lot of things that he shouldn't be saying. Like he gets people's expectations too high for the complete opposite of what Hello Games is doing. Hello Games got people's expectations too high because of lack of communication. Pierre Molyneux gets people's expectations too high because of too much communication. He shares a lot of his ambitions and mentions a lot of things that he wants to get into the games, and those things don't end up in the final product. And in the long run, people ended up a lot of people just they pretty much write him off at this point. When he mentions his ambitions. And it's quite a shame because he's actually a good developer. He just he talks a lot. He hypes his games a lot. He tries to sell what he's working on.
Yeah.
I mean, like at the end of the day, all developers want their games to sell, but like he's pitching stuff that you know, isn't in the final version of the game.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. Like, I was actually reading about oh, which so not too long ago, maybe a couple weeks or 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was actually an article that I don't remember which. Maybe it was PC Gamer. I don't remember which site posted it up, but uh, they did like a full history of Lionhead Studios and talking about how Peter Molyneux ran the company and just all the different things that the company went through until the time when it was actually just shut down not too long ago. And that was one of the things that came up was, he actually at a if I remember correctly from the article, there was actually a conference that he was speaking at about I think it was Fable, but on stage in front of hundreds of people, he said that the game would have multiplayer in it, and he had never even talked to the developers about that at all. And it was a last minute thing that he wanted to do, and he was so excited about having multiplayer in his game that he talked about it on stage, and without even ever mentioning it to the developers. Like, he thought about it that hour before he was going on stage. And
Wow.
so yeah, so he he does get too ambitious, and he doesn't know how to control his words. I guess he gets too excited about things and wants everyone to be excited about it, but doesn't even think about, is this possible? Is this something I should be talking about now? Should we discuss this first with the team to see if we can even do it before we make it public? But he doesn't have that kind of filter. He just he gets excited about something, and he wants the world to know that he's excited about this thing.
That reminds me of what's his name, Sakurai, the creator of Smash Brothers. He well, it was kind of the opposite. Like, it wasn't him making the announcement. It was Nintendo announcing that he's working on the new Smash Brothers Wii U, and he didn't know about it until they announced it on the E3 stage, or whatever conference it was. Pretty sure it was E3. But that's when he found out about when he's working on the game. It's like, well, that's news to me.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean, let's wrap up this discussion. I mean, overall, there is such thing as not enough communication, as well as too much communication. But overall, I feel like developers, it is really important for a developer to create a good relationship with the consumers, because quite frankly, people get burned real easily and they don't forget.
Yeah.
And you want to have a happy fan base, because without that fan base, you're not going to be selling games. I mean, you can try to trick the fans to make short-term sales, but in the long term, it's just going to hurt. And so I think it's just really important to have a strong relationship with the consumers, and set expectations correctly with communication, and just not give a lack of communication or too much communication. That's what I think.
Yeah. Just a quick side note: the article that gave the whole story about Lionhead is by Eurogamer. I highly recommend reading it. It is a very good article. It's called Lionhead: The Inside Story. It took me an hour to read it. It's very long, but it was very insightful, and it gave a lot of detailed information about Peter Molyneux himself and the developers that were part of Lionhead, and just how things were done there. it's very eye opening, and I mean, it was also very emotional. It was a good read. It's a
You can
long,
put the
long article.
you can put the URL in the notes, and I'll put it
Yeah.
in the show notes.
All right.
But yeah, but one thing that has a great relationship with the consumers.
I don't know. Why don't you let me know?
Well, they're a company called DreamHost.
Ooh.
They're a web service. They offer unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, user-friendly interface. They're also optimized to use content managers such as WordPress and many more features. And they even have a very friendly and easy use customer service program, which you can like chat with a customer service representative, and they can fix your issues right then and there.
It's the perfect kind of communication
Yes, all that
between
just
the
for
developers and the customers.
Yeah, all that just for $8.95 US a month, but it gets better. If you use the promo code out of continues, that's one word, no spaces, it'll waive away the setup fee, get you a free domain registration. Wazow. So let's move on and talk about some quick announcements. First of all, iTunes. We can use more iTunes reviews. Basically, if you want to help out the show, one of the single most helpful things you can do for the show is leave an iTunes review, and basically the way how Apple works is that they go by a week by week basis as far as how many reviews have been submitted on a podcast, and if a podcast gets like no reviews at all that week, then they don't even show up on that podcast doesn't even show up on the top charts at all. So yeah, so I mean, if you want to help us out, you can do so by leaving a review. And I'm looking right now. When was the last review we got? Ratings and reviews. It is still, the last one is still from 2014 from Cody Myers. We still have 11 reviews. Did the number go down? Whoa. I thought we had like 14 reviews.
I wonder if they
reviews.
cut off like the last, like if there's a cutoff time where if they get old enough, then they just stop showing them at all.
Nah, mine's still there.
No.
From December 2nd, 2011. Yeah, it's still there. This show is not bad. That's my review. I'm not lying. Never mind. It's there's a difference between ratings and reviews. So I have 15 ratings, but only 11 reviews. But either way, the last review is from 2014. Please leave a review. We really need them. This is from September 26, 2014. Come on, that's almost 2 solid years with no reviews. So if you can, please leave a review. It'd really help us out. If you can't leave a review for whatever reason, such as you already left a review or you can't get into your iTunes account or whatever, you can still help out the show by sharing the podcast on social media such as Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and whatever forms of social media that you like to use. Snapchat. Take a picture of Out of Continues. So anyways, also we're on Google Play Music, and let me see if we have any reviews on there. Google Music, and it looks like I don't see any reviews. Is there a way to leave a review on Google Play Music?
There should be. I'm not sure. I've not actually looked at the podcast section on that.
I don't see any reviews. In fact, I don't see any way to like rate. So I don't know. Maybe there is no way to leave a review.
No, it doesn't
I don't
look
know,
like there is.
But if you use Google Play Music, we're on there. Check it out. Like, you can search us, by typing Out It Continues, or you can go to outitcontinues.com, and there's a link on the side where you can, click, and it'll go straight to the Google Play Music page. So, anyways, let's talk about some news, in which I'm not going to screen share. So let me click the screen share button right now. And so anyways, last week we talked about No Man's Sky was delayed. And so because of them getting delayed, people have been outraged. And it looks like one of the developers has mentioned that he wrote on Twitter, he says, "I've received loads of death threats this week, but don't worry, Hello Games now looks like the house from Home Alone. Hashtag pillow fort." So he's trying to make a joke of it.
Yeah.
But seriously now, if you're sending death threats because a game is delayed, get out of my face.
Yeah, some people just become a little too attached and too passionate about something. Actually, Total Biscuit was talking about this on the Co-Optional podcast. He was basically saying, this game isn't even out yet, and people are getting so enraged about a delay about a game that's not even out yet. It's not even out yet, and you don't know that you're gonna love this game that much because you haven't even played it. And
and it's like the first. It's the first of its franchise,
Yeah, and it's a delay. It's not. It's not like the and you're. I don't even have a way to collect my thoughts. They were sending death threats to the person who reported on it, and that just doesn't make any sense. First of all, the reporter has nothing to do with the game itself. He's not making the game. He's not making any decisions about the game. He's just reporting what he's heard about the game.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're sending death threats over a delay? I mean, it's not like the game was canceled or they've done something to offend people. It was just that they needed more time to work on the game, and so they delayed it to make the game better. So in the end, the delay was for the consumer's benefit, not necessarily just the developer's benefit. If anything, this is not beneficial for the developers because they won't be able to make the money as soon as they originally intended to. So, if anything, this is all just a benefit for the consumers. Whenever a game is delayed, it's benefiting the consumers because the developers are concerned about making sure that the game is in a better condition at release. Mm-hmm. So, it's whoever is sending death threats because of a delay and sending those death threats to the reporter, that's just doubly insane.
Yeah. It's what, did you want a game to come out too early and incomplete? I mean, it's anyone who sends death threats to begin with is dumb to begin with. But really now, I mean, if it were me, only because I'm a jerk, I would have been like, well, since I feel unsafe working on this game at this point, I'm going to cancel.
Yeah. I was thinking about the exact same thing, actually. I was thinking, if I were developing this, how would I respond to a death threat like that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't actually cancel, but I would say that just to be a jerk.
Yeah. Well, you would probably receive even more death threats then, just from canceling the game.
Yep. It's like, oh, so now you're a slave driver, huh? So, anyways, moving on?
Sure.
Alright, let's talk about, hopefully this doesn't autoplay. Alright, let me stop this. Alright, so, well, I mean, it's not recording anyways, but I don't want, the sound to come through. But either way, so next article I got here: 7-year-old boy punches suspect during armed robbery at a GameStop store. So basically, two masked people went into a GameStop and robbed the place. And while one of the robbers was making his way to the counter, a 7-year-old boy with a plush Yoshi toy went up to the robber and whacked him in the stomach with the Yoshi. Oh man,
One
this
brave
is
kid.
yep, or dumb kid. like basically like after the kid, the kid didn't take out the robber. The robber ended up like throwing the kid over to the side and told the kid and the parents to get down on the floor, which they did afterwards. But like this article, the news video, the news segment, they basically they kept on making a big deal about the kid's Yoshi toy and how it gave the kid bravery, and now he's always with the Yoshi toy because it makes him feel safe. uh, it's beautiful. But yeah, I'm gonna have this in the show notes just because the video is worth watching for the laugh.
Yeah.
You have anything you want to add?
No, not really. Just good job, kid. Maybe
Don't
he's the hero that we
don't
deserve.
don't attack armed robbers. You goofus. Put yourself in the danger. Anyways, let's move on. All right, let's talk about GOG real quick. GOG, which is
It's the real OG.
no, they're not real OG. So GOG.com, they're a digital distribution for DRM free games. They're owned by CD Projekt Red. Similar to how Valve owns Steam.
Yep.
Except their library isn't as big due to their games being DRM free. So they just worked up like some kind of a program in which you can connect your Steam account to your GOG account, and it will import the games in your library that are that have a DRM free version, so that you can have those games show up on your GOG account. And this is pretty cool for people who don't like DRM. Like let's say they play games on their laptop and when they're not home, and don't want to worry with having their Steam on offline mode or whatever. They can get there's a small list of games that they can get through GOG so that they can play the DRM free version.
Yeah.
And or whatever reason why they don't want to have the Steam DRM. I think this is a pretty cool feature that they got going on. Have you linked your account?
I have.
Me too. It took like a day or something. It took a long time.
Yeah, because so many people have been wanting to do it, they've just been kind of backed up on their servers.
Yeah. But I mean the list of games that they have is not a large list. But there are quite a few games that
Yeah.
you can get through there.
Yeah, the important thing to note is that the games will not always be the same, and they're going to be limited time. That's the important thing.
Okay.
So like they are basically making contracts with the developers and publishers. So some games you'll be able to transfer or connect your games, import your games, but you can only do it for within a specific time frame, and then those games will swap out to new ones as they make new contracts. So it's not like they just have like this never-ending list that continuously grows. Like all the games on there right now are only available, I guess, until Tuesday, it seems. And then they'll have new games that you can import within a specific time frame.
Now, one game that's always going to be on that list is going to be The Witcher.
Yeah, because that's their game.
That game will always be on their list. Well, anyways, moving on.
Yep.
So, this next article. Now, I do not drink the beverages of alcohol. Although you, Kevin, you're into that stuff, right?
I am a beer connoisseur.
You drink that devil's poison.
I guess.
So, I just wanted to bring up this article mainly so I can ask you, what do you think about Mortal Kombat having a beer?
I would try it. I am all for giving this a try. I mean, I wonder. I'm hoping that they are actually making new beers for this and not just rebranding some things that they already had. Because I'm not actually familiar with the what is it, Paulsbo Washington's Sound Brewery. I don't think I've ever had anything from them, so I'm not really familiar with what their lineup is.
Well, one of them, it says one is an India Pale Ale. That's from your country.
Yeah, that's actually a really popular style right now. I mean, it was actually invented back in the days when England, I think, or when England occupied India, I think, or the Britons. But yeah, so I mean, it's an old style. It's been around for a while, but yeah, it's been extremely popular recently.
So the three that they're gonna have are Sub-Zero Imperial IPA, Raiden Imperial Saison. Is that right?
Yep.
And Scorpion Imperial Stout. So
yeah,
if you want to know what what Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Raiden taste like, I guess you'll find out.
That's one way to put it, but yeah.
Oh wow. Anyways, I don't have any other comments to say because, like I said, I do not drink the alcohols. So, unless you have anything else you want to add.
Nope, not really. I like to try them, but we'll see if I can even get my hands on them.
All right, and let's talk about Surgeon Simulator real quick. So, Surgeon Sim, for those of you who are unaware of this game, it is a game in which you have like a body in front of you on a like a surgery table, and you control one hand, and basically like you have control over like all the fingers, right? Or I can't remember.
Yeah, you kind of control all the fingers, and it's kind of like QWOP, but for just your hands.
Yeah, or what's it called? Octodad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you control, like, you use the mouse to control where the hand is at, and you also control all the fingers, and you pick stuff up, and you basically like bash the the rib cage open and like put in a heart or something like that. And it's not a serious game at all. It is, even though it says Surgeon Simulator, it is not a simulator. It is a
Right.
very comical game. It is very
Yeah.
difficult too. But so the latest DLC basically makes the person that you're having surgery on, it is Donald Trump. And
I feel like I feel like a lot of people are not gonna want to actually just do surgery on him. They're wanting to just like have the scalpel and just start stabbing and cutting.
so like on this trailer, I didn't get to play this DLC, but in this trailer, like apparently the game objective, it says does Trump have a heart of gold or a stone heart? So you have to decide which one to put inside him.
Perfect.
So, hey, if you're a Trump supporter or if you're anti-Trump, this fits for you regardless, because you can put that heart of gold in him if you like him, and if you don't like him, you can do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
You can go either way. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So, moving on.
Yep.
All right, so final news article I have on here, not game related, but figure want to mention it. We have from Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I am a big fan of. Kevin, you are as well. I'm pretty sure, unless you changed your
Yep.
mind since the last time we spoke.
Nope. I am a fan.
Yeah, you still are. All right.
Yep.
So rumors coming out that Marvel has begun talks with Brie Larson, who is a Oscar winner. She was from what's the show? Community. I think so. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't watch that show.
I never watched it either, but she's from Community. The only thing I know her from is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. She was Scott Pilgrim's
Oh.
ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know her from. I don't know her from
Hmm.
anything else. But yeah, so apparently she's in talks to be Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. And apparently a lot of people are really excited about this news. As I already stated, I only know her from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World as the ex-girlfriend. That's it. She did not have a very big role. Like, she basically would come in and like talk smack to Scott Pilgrim, and she had that vegan boyfriend who was Brandon Roth, aka Superman, aka the Atom.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know for quite a while a lot of people were pushing for UFC fighter Ronda Rousey to be Captain Marvel, because she has the physical look. Because Carol Danvers is a very physically intimidating looking character. She's very athletic, and Ronda Rousey has that look, but I was never for that because of her look. We're talking about Marvel here, with high quality acting.
Yeah.
We're not talking about we're not talking about DC here.
Yep.
Burn. So, I mean, Ronda Rousey's not an actress. Even though she's been in movies, she's not an actress. She's not a trained actress.
Right.
She's a trained fighter. So she has the look, and that's it. Brie Larson, I'm assuming she could probably pull off the acting because she's an Oscar winner. But one issue I have is I think she's probably too young. Like she's 26 years old, and Carol Danvers is a major in the Air Force. So you'd expect someone to be someone who is a major to be like in their 30s, at least.
Yeah.
So like this kind of makes it seem like Marvel is a bit ageist and sexist because like you have like with the men you have Robert Downey Jr., Jeremy Renner, Mark Ruffalo. They're all they all got cast in their 40s. And then for the women, they're like, hey, let's get a 26-year-old to play a major.
Yeah.
That's one issue. I mean, they're probably gonna be like, oh, Carol Danvers, the youngest person to graduate from our school as a major. They're probably gonna have that. They're probably gonna have that one piece of dialogue in there just to explain it.
Yeah.
And my own other issue. I mean, this is not as big of an issue, but she needs to hit the gym because she looks kind of skinny. She needs to hit the gym.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, Carol Danvers is an intimidating looking woman. She's very built. I mean, she's not like She-Hulk because She-Hulk is like 7 feet tall, but she's still.
I'm sure they'll be able to do things with CGI.
She's still a very muscular woman, and Brie Larson, not quite there, But who knows? Maybe she'd be a good choice, as far as the acting. Maybe she can pull it off, but like I said, I am not familiar enough for her, on her to make a good judgment since I only seen her in one role. That's it. Have you seen her in anything?
No, I haven't.
What are your thoughts on her being Captain Marvel?
Pretty much the same thing that you said. If they need to buff her up, maybe. I mean, I'm sure they could do things through CG. But I'm not familiar with her acting to know if this is a good choice or not. But I've usually been. I think Marvel has done a good job in the past with picking their actors and actresses, so I have faith in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there we go. Carol Danvers, the youngest person to graduate from our school. She kicked butt. I'd never seen anyone who survived my training as much as she did.
Yeah. Well,
that's expect that dialogue in the CW version of of the show.
Yeah. Well, it seems like Chris Evans is excited, is happy about it. He said, "I just heard about that. I really hope it happens." And I can't say enough about Brie Larson. I think she's phenomenal, and I really hope it happens. So,
I'm looking forward to a Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah,
I think she's a really cool character. I like her. Like Captain Marvel, for the Marvel universe is she's basically Marvel's closest thing to DC's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like powers are very similar. Both characters are very experienced with combat. And she's probably I think she's like the as far as popularity, the most popular female character within the comics. Um, outside of comics, obviously, Black Widow is the most popular because she's the one that's been showing up in all the movies. But I mean, let's be real. Black Widow, within the comics, she's like a B or C-list C-list character. She's not as important as Captain Marvel is. So she's a character that I like, and I'd like to, I'm looking forward to the movie. Plus, the Civil War 2 just started this past week, and basically, Civil War 1 was Iron Man versus Captain America. Civil War 2 is Iron Man versus Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
All right. That's pretty much it as far as the news goes. Let's wrap things up. Well, we have no listener feedback this week. Kevin, do you have any listener feedback?
Good show. Or show good.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, no problem.
I can count on you. So if you also want to write in and tell us show good, or if you have any questions or any other type of comments or other feedback, you can write into the podcast. That's podcast@outofconfused.com. Let's do some quick shout outs real quick. Still haven't done much Twitch streaming. That's twitch.tv/SayItStafa. Haven't done too much of that lately. SayItStafa is SayItStafa. Although, I have been getting some gameplay videos on the YouTube recently. I've been putting up a gameplay video each day since last Tuesday. And, I've been trying to catch up on the backlog of games that Black Shell Media has been sending me and other indie developers. Kevin?
Yeah. It will happen eventually once I am more available to do that.
I sent you 2 games, and it's been like a year now.
Not a year. Maybe it's been a few months, but
a few months. Let me see. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. Let me look at this. When did they send this to me? 7/27/15.
Yeah, it's not been a year. It's been 11 months.
Yeah, not quite a year. Just 11 months.
I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Kevin.
Yeah, okay. I will get those done as soon as I possibly can. They will be done, I promise.
So, yeah, I've been putting up some gameplay videos, catching up on the backlog of games that these Black Shell and other indie developers have been sending me. But check them out on the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/outofcontinues. Put up CMKW. That's Black Shadows gameplay. This is pretty bad. Quick Slick Deadly, also pretty bad. Infectionator Survivors. That one's actually pretty cool. Check that out. Stone Tales. If you want to see a 2D platformer where you're playing as 2 separate characters with the same controls, then look at the gameplay for Stone Tales. Oh, man. And Super Ubi Island Remix. That one's actually pretty cool. And I will probably have more scheduled up pretty soon. So, anyways. Oh, man, this one's scheduled up for the wrong day. I gotta change that. But, yeah. Wrapping this up. Do you have anything else you want to plug, Kevin?
Nope. Nothing at the moment.
All right. So... just want to say, if you enjoy what you've been hearing, you can support us by liking us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter, leave an iTunes review. You can contact by email. That's podcast@outofcontinues.com. All those things I just mentioned. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/outofcontinues. You can subscribe to us on Google Play Music. That, and all those things I just mentioned, you can find them on outofcontinues.com. You can give me a tweet. I am at SayedStafa. That's at SayedStafa. And Kevin over here has a Twitter as well.
Yep, I am at KS Trehan. That is KSTREHAN.
All right. And I'd like to thank you, Kevin, for joining me today. Without internet.
Thank you, Stafa. Yeah.
And with that said, I'm your host, Stafa. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.